Hi everybody, my name is Bex and welcome to this Waterstones virtual live Halloween event. I'm very excited because we have 5 of the best spooktastic authors around at the moment. Laura Ellen Anderson, Taylor Dolan, Jack Meggit-Phillips, Ian Mark and Harriet Muncaster will be here with us very soon. A little reminder, get yourself a pen and pencil or some paper on the way as well, because we have got a few tricks and treats up our sleeve. Plus, you need to get your thinking caps on. If you've got some questions you want to ask our brilliant authors, make sure you pop them in the Q&A box at the bottom and we can ask them to them at the end of the session. That is right, you're in charge of this. So I guess we should probably meet the authors, shall we? Let's check them out and let's get them on this virtual Halloween event. There we go. Hey guys, so we have Harriet Muncaster from Victoria Stitch, Ian Mark from Monster Hunting for Beginners, Laura Ellen Anderson from the Amelia Fang series, Jack Meggit-Phillips from The Beast and the Bethany, and Taylor Dolan from Ghoul Scout. Hey guys, how you doing?
Hello! Hello! I'm doing well, how are you?
So glad that you're all here. It all works, we're all good to go. Happy Halloween, I guess. It's nearly Halloween time. Happy Halloween times. Now, I don't want to put you guys out, but I've prepared a little Halloween questionnaire for you just to figure out what your Halloween vibes are. Is that okay to do with you right now?
Absolutely.
All right, good. Yeah, if you'd said no, I would have had to turn this off immediately, to be honest. So first of all, I was going to say this is an easy question, but I don't know whether it is. Would you rather be a vampire, a werewolf, or a mummy? That's the big 3. Ian, you can go first.
I'd rather be a mummy because I feel the cold a lot. So I think being wrapped up in bandages would be great, you know. And you also get to hang around, you know, pyramids and, you know, old tombs and that sort of thing. So that would be great.
Oh, you've gone for the historical aspect. Laura, what about you?
I think, yeah, I like the mummy idea, but I'm going to go for vampire because they live, you know, a really long time, and partial to a bit of blood, I guess. Yeah, I think I'll go for vampire.
All right, got 1 mummy, 1 vampire. Taylor, what do you fancy?
I think I'm gonna join her on vampire. I like the gothic spooky vibes there. I could wear black lipstick every day, or at night, I suppose. Right. There is that restriction.
Harriet, how about you?
Well, I'm not gonna lie, I wouldn't really like to be any of those things, but if I had to pick one, then I guess a vampire, because it's the most like glamorous one. So I don't know, that would be cool.
Okay, good stuff. And Jack, finally, we're coming to you. What would you prefer?
Well, as you can see from my outfit, definitely werewolf, because I'm quite disorganized. So I think having to know where the full moon is would just really help my schedule, because I could think, oh yes, that's 3 days in the full moon. That's what I'm meant to be doing. Yeah.
So you're thinking it from the organizational calendar aspect of it?
Pretty much. I mean, I think that's the main reason why anyone goes into werewolfing, really. But yeah, just to get better organized.
I love it. Next question. Would you rather fly on a broomstick or be able to cast a spell? Now, there's a lot of magic in all of your books. So Laura, you can go first. What would you prefer?
I've always wanted to fly on a broomstick, but never really thought about how uncomfortable it would be. But then again, if you could cast a spell, you could cast a spell on the broomstick to make it fly. So maybe casting a spell, and then there's a little loophole around that one.
Oh, okay. You may have blown this wide open. Taylor, what do you reckon? Would you prefer to fly on a broomstick or cast a spell?
Well, she made a brilliant argument there. And I think the casting the spell means that you have a whole range of exciting things, exciting possibilities. So I'm going to go with spell casting for sure.
All right, Harriet, how about you?
I mean, I was also thinking if you cast a spell, you could cast a spell to fly. So it does give you more options. And like Laura said, you could cast a spell to fly on something a bit more comfortable if that's what you wanted to do. So probably cast a spell.
Cast a spell, okay. Jack, what would you fancy?
Well, I think if I could cast spells, I'd just be sort of crippled with indecision about what spells I should be casting. At least if you just have a broomstick, that's the only thing you can do. Then, you know, it's a bit like Netflix. I just spend hours thinking, what should I watch? What should I watch? And that would just be me with spells. So I'll go for broomstick for convenience.
Broomstick, okay, good answer. And Ian, finally, what do you fancy?
Oh, I think that's an easy one, yes, to be able to cast spells. I've never understood when people say, oh, I wouldn't want to be immortal or I wouldn't want to be magic. I mean, why wouldn't you want to be? If you could cast spells, I'd cast them all day, you know, so.
I love the way authors' brains works. You've really got into it, guys. I appreciate this. And final one, because we've got a lot of monsters in our stories as well. I want to know, if you were a monster, what would your scariest feature be? What would be the thing that would be your kind of MO, the thing that you would use to freak people out? I can see all of you have your thinking faces on, which makes me really happy because it means I've asked an actually good question. This is great. Taylor, you can go first. What do you reckon would be your monster feature?
I think I'd have to go for some Medusa snake-like hair with the ability to turn people into stone. I think that'd be pretty epic.
Oh my God, the way you came with that so quickly is...
I'm ready.
Yeah,
I'm ready.
I mean, it's great, but also concerning. Harriet, how about you?
I find it's really hard to think of on the spot. Maybe fangs, because I think what would be cool is if you had something that would make people frightened of you, because yeah, if you looked a little bit scary, like had like fangs or something, ones you could like turn on and off, so that if you came upon someone you didn't really want around, you could just like bring that out and they would go away.
Oh, I love it. Jack, what would your monster feature be?
This is terrible, but I really, rice pudding I hate, so I would just be able to collapse into rice pudding at a moment's notice and care about people. I think, yeah, seeing a grown man turn into a rice pudding, I think that's far scarier.
Disturbing, yeah.
That's the scariest thing I've heard so far today. That's absolutely terrifying. Okay, Ian, can you top rice pudding?
I can't top rice pudding, no. I think if I had like a power as a monster, it would be extreme grumpiness. You know, just the ability to be instantly grumpy at all times and make people go away when you didn't want them to go away, rather than being, you know, polite to people. When you meet someone, you don't really want to talk to them, but you're always so polite. But if you're a monster, you can just be grumpy and horrible, and you know, everyone thinks, well, that's okay, you're just a monster. You know, there are no rules.
You just want a reason to be rude to people. Is that what you're saying?
Really, that's basically it. Yeah.
All right, fair enough. And Laura, what would your monster feature be?
Gosh, I think maybe like so I like making people jump, and so maybe the ability to kind of like blend into the background, almost like camouflage, and then you know, you could hide anywhere or into the shadows, and yeah, no one would know you're there.
Oh, okay, so if we put all of these features together, we will have quite the creature. That would be an amazing fangy kind of rice puddingy camouflaged monster. I love it. Guys, we've created something quite exciting there. Now we should say, before we carry on, reminder to everybody, if you've got some questions you want to ask our authors, do pop them in the Q&A box and we will ask them on your behalf at the end of the session. And we are going to have some special kind of little treats from our authors as well. But first, we need to find out about the actual books they've written. So Harriet, we're going to go to you first. Congratulations on your brand new book, Victoria Stitch, Bad and Glittering. It's quite amazing. Yeah, I love this. Everybody, yeah, why not? So Harriet, can you tell us a little bit about Victoria Stitch?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, Victoria Stitch is about a very, she's quite like an angry character, and she's very gothic, and she lives in a place called Whistling Wood, and they're all miniature, and basically she is desperate to be a queen because she was born from a diamond and she should be queen, but there was a black streak in the diamond and she was denied it. But anyway, so it's about her her determination to get to the throne in Whistling Wood.
Because she also has her twin as well, who is very different to her and isn't that bothered about being queen.
Yeah, so her twin Celestine they're sort of opposites. They're sort of like moonlight and sunshine. Yeah, and this is the second one. Well, the cover for the second one. This one will be out next February.
I feel like we're getting a little exclusive here. Big fan of that. Hey, that's amazing. So Victoria Stitch is a bit of a different kind of story for you. It's a kind of more novel-based story. And was it fun to write? Was it kind of exciting to have a bit more space and time to kind of grow a character? Yeah,
it was so fun to write, but it was a completely different beast to doing like the Isadora Moon books, which are so much shorter. So yeah, it was a whole different world doing it, but I loved doing it. I loved being, I would be happy to write Victoria, like books in Whistling Wood for like the rest of my life.
Oh, why is that then? What in particular kind of holds your imagination about it?
I think it's the miniatureness of it, because I love tiny things. So I just love the idea of a world where all the characters are miniature, and yeah, I think that's what it is. It's very like sparkly world. They're all born from crystals and things. So yeah.
Yeah, I really love how you kind of created this magical world, and as soon as you open the book, you're into it and you get it immediately. And you also you're very good at describing palaces as well.
Palaces.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of palaces in there. Well, yeah, there's two, but yeah, I do like describing palaces, and I guess I like describing things in general.
Am I right in thinking I saw it took you 10 years to kind of get this book kind of out there in the world?
Well, yeah, I first created Victoria Stitch when it was 15 years ago. She actually was created before Isadora Moon, and her sidekick used to be Pink Rabbit. And then later on, I gave Pink Rabbit to Isadora Moon instead. But yeah, she was created 15 years ago, and like she's just always stuck with me as my sort of most like favorite character that like means a lot to me. Yeah.
Brilliant stuff. All right, well, Victoria Stitch is out there in the world right now. We've got that little preview there of the second book, so thank you, Harriet. Now, Laura Ellen Anderson, we should chat to you as well, because you are equally doing lots of things at the moment. You're very busy. You've got a brand new book in your series. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, so the newest book is Rainbow Grey, and so there are some hints of Amelia Fang inside Rainbow Grey, so if you hunt through the pictures, you can find some little Easter eggs for those who have read Amelia Fang. But yeah, Rainbow Grey is about basically this the world of weather magic. So way up in the sky in the Weatherlands live weatherlings, and they basically create the weather that we feel and see. But Ray Grey, she is born with no weather magic at all. And then on a forbidden trip to Earth, she discovers a black crystal, which is about a lump of shadow crystal, and unleashes this ancient magic, rainbow weather magic. It's no secret. And there starts her journey to kind of discover who she is, her past, and with her friend Snowdon dropping it on the way. So there's a super cute fluffy cloud cat as well, which was really fun to draw. So yeah, just lots and lots of weather and magic, and lots of splashing of sandwiches too.
Now, I've got to say, weather is something that I haven't read a lot of books or kids' books that feature weather as such an important thing. What was it about you that kind of drew you to it?
Well, it was a similar story to Harriet, actually. I drew a girl with rainbow hair. It was about 10 years ago, and it was more kind of a cute picture book style character. And she had her little cloud cat who didn't really change at all, flying next to her. And it was one of those things where I actually personified weather as well. And then I kind of put them away and went on to do other things, and then obviously did Amelia Fang. And then when kind of starting to think about the next book to do, I again drew this girl with rainbow hair, just randomly popped it online, and my editor was like, "Who was that?" And it's like, "Oh, it's Rainbow." And kind of then, you know, once someone else takes an interest, you start to, all of the ideas come flooding in, and I was able to kind of create and build her world around that. So yeah, she did kind of come first, so to speak, and has always kind of been there, lurking in the background,
just ready to pounce, ready to come out.
Yeah. So yeah, she's good fun to draw until we have to like draw her stripy hair in black and white all the way through the book. You're like, oh, it kind of loses a little bit of something there. So need some spot colour.
You've also got Amelia Fang, a new book in the series as well, The Trouble with Toads, which I thoroughly enjoyed because of you put in a lot of great toad puns.
Oh my goodness. Do you know what? I can't draw toads to save my life. So this was quite a challenge because I tried to draw frogs and toads and they looked a bit like hippos and dinosaurs at the beginning. So I had to really practice that. So this book was a challenge, but yeah, it was such good fun. And I think it was one of my favorite ones to write because it was a chance to really, really like just delve into the characters so much more, and their friendship is so tight between like Amelia, Florence, Tangine, and Grimaldi, and having her little brother Vincent, who's just like truly disgusting. It was just really good fun, and kind of just, as you say, getting to create loads and loads of Toad puns. So I was like, hey Dad, I need some dad jokes, send me everything you've got, kind of thing. So, because yeah, my dad's brilliant he's the king of puns.
So I have to ask, who came up, I made a note of this, I was so impressed. Who came up with a TV show called Abs-Toad-Lutely Frogulous?
I have to take credit for it. So yeah, I forgot I came up with that actually. That was fun. It's always great when something pops into your head, you're like, yes, I really hope people get it. And then if they don't, you're like, oh, never mind. But so I'm very glad that you picked up on that.
I was there for you, don't worry about it. Brilliant, thank you, Laura. Now, Ian, on to you. You have a fantastic and very funny brand new book out, Monster Hunting for Beginners. Now, this is about Jack's struggle in the world. What is going on with his life?
Yeah, first of all, I'm feeling very foolish now because unlike the two previous authors, I haven't got a copy of my book here to show you. So you'll have to take my word for it. The cover looks amazing. Yes, it's about a boy called Jack who sort of spends his whole life being told that monsters don't exist, but knowing in his heart that they actually do. And then one day he wakes up and finds an ogre in his garden. And that leads him to being tricked into becoming a monster hunter by a grumpy 200-year-old monster hunter, who gives him a magical book, containing details of all the monsters in the world. And every time a new monster is discovered somewhere in the world, the book magically updates. And Jack then sets off to become a monster hunter and to get his chance to discover new monsters and add them to the book, which is also called Monster Hunting for Beginners.
There's a bit meta there. Yeah, you kind of got it in. Yeah. I did really enjoy the fact that Jack is, like you say, kind of tricked into taking the book. And as soon as you, and not a spoiler, I think as soon as you take the book, that means you automatically become a monster hunter.
That's right, yes. There's a sort of proviso at the beginning that says if you accept it as a gift, then you have automatically accepted the job of monster hunter. So the monster hunter who gives it to him, he's quite old, he's 200 years old, and he sort of half wants to retire and half doesn't. So he's looking for an apprentice to take over from him. And he just gives the book to Jack and says, would you like this book? And Jack says, oh yeah, of course I would. And he takes it, and then, that's him. He's caught. But he's told as well, he's reassured that if he ever wants to, pass it on to somebody else, then he can just trick them in exactly the same way. So there's always a get out clause.
And also, what made you pick ogres as the main monster for this story?
Well, because it's the first book in a planned series, I wanted to go back to the original monsters in a way, because it's not necessarily very well known, but there's a book in the 13th century called The History of the Kings of Britain by a man called Geoffrey in Monmouth. And he says that the original inhabitants of the island of Britain were actually ogres. And we came along and we drove them out and we took over the country. So I like the idea of going back to the very original inhabitants of Britain, which were ogres. And, they clearly have a bit of a grievance, and why wouldn't they? That they feel that they were pushed out of their own country by us. So in a way, we're sort of the monsters,
Oh my goodness, never thought of it like that before. Oh my goodness. I also enjoy, you've got a lot of little asterisks along the book as well, little kind of footnotes and stuff. Were they quite fun to write? Did you put them in afterwards, or did you write them in as you were doing it?
Oh no, I wrote them in as I was doing it. In a way, the book is just an excuse to do the footnotes, I think, because it's like, when you read a book or you watch television or something, there's always a running commentary going on in your head where you sort of comment on what's happening. And the footnotes are a way, I suppose, of just that's what's happening. As the story goes on, you're commenting on it, or you're saying something sarcastic or cheeky about what's happening, or you're expressing some kind of doubt or rolling your eyes at what's happening, and the footnotes allow you to do that. Yeah. So the whole book really is just an excuse for jokes. I don't even care about the story. I just want to tell stupid jokes, really.
Hey, look, it's a great story and full of jokes, so you've achieved 2 for 2.
Thank you.
Well done. So Jack Meggit-Phillips, we need to talk to you now about your Beast and Bethany book. Tell me, you've got the second book out. Now, if people haven't read the first, can you give us a little background?
Okie dokie. So the series is basically about a young 500-year-old carnivorous beast, I should have a third thing there, and a child who's about to be eaten. I suppose, yes, the book's basically about this man named Ebenezer Tweezer, who has spent 500 years living a pretty selfish life. He keeps a beast in the attic of his mansion, And he feeds this beast all manner of things, everything from the crown jewels to his own pet cat. And in return, the beast vomits out presents and potions which keep him young and beautiful. But then one day, the beast grows ever greedier and demands to be brought a juicy child to eat. And that's where poor Bethany, the rebellious prankster, comes in.
So yeah, Bethany is kind of brought in at first as some fodder, should we say? But eventually she kind of forms a bit of a friendship with I don't want to ruin the books, obviously.
No. I was very surprised while writing it, because when I first wrote Bethany, I didn't like her at all. So when we first meet her, her idea of fun is sort of plucking worms from the garden and then shoving them up this poor boy Geoffrey's nostrils. And Geoffrey's a lovely boy. So she's a bit of a bully, she's a bit of a prankster. And you're sort of thinking, hopefully, as the reader, if I were to feed, a child to a hungry beast, then Bethany would be sort of the perfect canapé or whatever. But yeah, over the course of the book, Ebenezer and Bethany, who are both very selfish and evil people, somehow through their very weird friendship, encouraged people to be better. I think that's just because probably the most important relationships in my life are friendships. So without wanting to sound too soppy and sticky, it can really change you. So hopefully that's what people take. You're
also the only author, I think, here or ever to call a child a canapé, which I've very much enjoyed. Really, really on brand for Halloween. Big fan of that.
It's why I never get invited to christenings anymore. It's really
So in the second book, we have some problems with Claudette, who is again, I don't want to ruin it, but we meet her in the first book, and in the second book, she kind of is a more interesting and important character.
Yes. So at the end of the first book, basically, I wrote it thinking there's no way anyone's going to read this apart from maybe my grandmother, and then but I kept on thinking about the story afterwards. So I don't think it's too much of a spoiler to say that they think that they might have defeated the beast at the end of the first one. But then I just thought, he's the most powerful creature in the world. There's no way he could be that defeated. So then he lurks as a sort of parasite in a parrot. And while Bethany and Ebenezer are becoming better friends and trying to become less selfish, less worm-nostrily people, Claudette and the beast are sort of lurking in the shadows and being a bit evil.
It's one of those books. I'm not great with very, very scary things. It just treads the line very carefully for me. That was scared, but I also wanted to read more, and I wasn't too scared. That was very helpful.
Yeah, very much like Ian. It's basically an excuse for me to tell very, very silly jokes and lots of whoopee cushions. So I probably made it sound very dramatic, but yeah, if you like funny books with an occasional jump scare, then hopefully, silly fart jokes can be found in here.
Well, what a great advert for it. Lovely, thank you, Jack. And finally, Taylor, on to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Whereabouts are you in the world right now?
I am in the United States. I am in the middle of nowhere, Arkansas.
Yay!
Yes, so it is 5:30 in the morning. Woo!
And we are thrilled that you're awake, obviously, and that you've joined us. Thank you so much.
I'm so excited to be here.
Now, tell us about your series of books. These are very exciting, as well as all of them are, and based around a bit of a holiday camp. Is that right?
Yes. So I have a series called Ghost Scouts. And the book that I most recently came out with is so new that I don't have a copy yet. It hasn't made it to the US, but it is being sold in stores all around you. The first one is called Welcome to Camp Croak. And it features a little girl named Lexi who is going to a summer camp and accidentally gets dropped off the wrong summer camp. She thought she was going to the Happy Hollow Camp for joyful boys and girls, but instead gets dropped off at Camp Croak, which is a Ghost Scout camp for the undead in the swamps of Louisiana.
Very different.
Yes,
very,
slightly
very
different scenario. But she ends up making friends with all of the beasties, and they get into great messes and all sorts of chaos. It's good fun.
So can you tell us a little bit more about the camp? What can we expect when we read about it?
Well, the camp is run by a sister triplet, three-headed witches named Miss Rosemary, Miss Parsley, and Miss Sage. And they have the dreadful habit of never being useful to the children, but very kind. And the other campers consist of a werewolf named Emilulu Guru, a zombie named Mary Shelley, a skeleton named Bebe Samdi, and a nonverbal ghost named Sweet Boo. So it's quite the combination of all your favorite beasties.
I was going to say some great names and some great choices for beasts that are just
Thank you.
so well thought through. Was there one in particular you were like, I need to get like a ghost in, or I need to get a certain character in just because I love this character?
Well, I was really excited about Emmylulu Guru because she has an anxiety disorder and she is a wolf most of the time, but when she has a panic attack, she turns into a person, she loses all her fur. And it was just really important to me to make sure that there was some mental health representation in the book, but in a fun, strange, monstery way. So I think Emmylulu has my heart for sure.
Oh, that's great. And did you go to camp when you were younger? Did you use any experiences in the book?
Oh yeah, I was a Girl Scout. I'm wearing my Girl Scout badge right now.
Great.
But I was a Girl Scout for 10 years. My mother was my troop leader, and we went whitewater rafting, and we built giant bonfires, and it was very good fun.
Oh, so it came from a real life place then. I love it.
Yeah, slightly less monsters in my childhood, but just as exciting.
I love that you say slightly, just slightly less.
It's a little bit.
Not 100%, just slightly.
No.
Brilliant stuff. Well, guys, your books obviously are all amazing. They're all brilliant. I would know. I've read each one of them. So we should also remind our viewers, you can ask a little question in the little box at the bottom in the Q&A box, and we'll ask them at the end of the session. But first, all of our authors have prepared a little special something for us, a trick and indeed treat. So we've got a little special extra bit from each author. I think we're going to go to Harriet first. Harriet, what do you have for us?
So today, I thought that I would show you how to draw a whiskling.
Great. So this is a character from the book.
Well, it's a general whiskling, because I'm not going to draw Victoria Stitch, because I would find her very difficult to draw, like just on the show and stuff. But so it's a general whiskling, and as I draw, I'm going to talk to you about all the different little traits that make a whiskling a whiskling.
Amazing. Well, I have my pen and paper next to me, so I'm going to join in as well. If you are at home, make sure you've got a pen, pencil, paper. I know our authors have. So Harriet, take it away.
Okay, well, so we're going to draw a whiskling, and this is an example of how tall a whiskling is. They're very tiny. They're no taller than 5 inches high, and that is Celestine from my book Victoria Stitch. But I've designed a sort of maybe more of a simple whiskling we can draw together. So this is what it's going to hopefully look like at the end. I'm going to share my screen because I'm going to draw on Zoom, on the whiteboard on Zoom, so I'm just going to share that. So this is going to be a bit wobbly because I'm not used to drawing digitally, but you've seen what it's supposed to look like. So okay, so let's start with a circle. So if everyone can draw a circle, I'm going to draw mine very slowly because I'm very shaky on this thing. I'm not used to drawing on the computer at all.
It's a very good circle, don't worry.
Okay, so there we have a circle. Okay, so now I'm going to do eyes closed because that's going to be more simple. So I'm going to do 2 closed eyes like this, and I'm going to do two little eyelashes coming out. Okay. Ooh. Okay, now whisklings, one of the traits of whisklings, they have tall pointed ears, so I'm going to do one on each side. You can do one on each side of yours. Actually very similar to Isidore Muniz.
Great.
Okay, there we go. It's quite stressful drawing on this in front of everyone. Okay, now let's do 2 little eyebrows like that. And another trait of whiskling is that they have black tipped noses. So I'm going to just do a little black nose like that. And then I'm going to do a mouth, and I'm going to do it by doing sort of 3 little circles, sort of bunch, 2 next to each other and 1 at the bottom. And let's draw, this is going to be like the clasp of the cape. So I'm going to draw a star right under her chin. There we go. And then I'm going to draw the hood. So I'm going to do a line going sort of round the head, and then it's going to point up like this. There we go. And okay, so another trait of whisklings is they have super long eyelashes, like whiskers. So you can draw some really long eyelashes coming out there of the corners of their eyes. Like that. And then let's do some hair. So I'm gonna do some sort of strands of hair just on the edge like this. And if you want, you can have them also just coming out the bottom, like kind of like, you know, strands of hair coming down. Okay. Right, another trait of whistling is they have antennae, and their antennae, so I'm going to do 2 little holes at the top of this hood for them to come out of. And that, because whisklings are born from crystals, and they have very like tiny chips of crystal embedded in the top of their antennae, which spark. So their antennae spark, if not all the time, but if they're feeling you know, extremes of emotion, or they're doing magic or something, their antennae will sparkle. So you can do some little sparks like that. There we go. Okay, what next? Oh yeah, okay, so let's do the bottom half of the cake. So I'm going to do a sort of bell shape. So I'm going to go down like that on each side. Yes, so yeah, a bell, I suppose. You were drawing a bell. 2 lines going down like that, and then 1 along the bottom. There we go. And then you can do, I'll just do a line down the middle. And I'm going to do a little line here to be a pocket. And I'm going to do her wand poking out of her pocket. And whisklings' wands are carved from their birth crystal. So they can only do magic with their own birth crystal. So they keep all the shards of their birth crystals, and then they can use those to make their wands and make their bloom fly, which is, they fly on flowers and leaves. So they put a little chip of their birth crystal into like the stalk, and then they can fly that. So they can only do magic with their own. So if they lose it, then that's it, they can't do any magic. Right, now legs. I'm going to do 2, legs coming out here. We'll try not to do these too wobbly. There we go. And then we can do little pointed boots. The whisklings are quite eccentric, a lot of them. They like dressing up, they like looking fancy, they like fashion. So I'm going to do some big stars on the end of the toes, like this. And then I'm going to do another star on the top of the hood. I think that looks cute. And then I'm going to do more stars just on the cape. There we go. And then lastly, there we go. Lastly, I'm just going to put a shadow under her, because I think pictures always look better when they've got a shadow. And I think, let me just check my drawing here. I think that was all of it. Yes. So there we go. There is a whistling. and all the little things that make a whistling a whistling. So yeah, I'm going to stop share the screen now.
That is amazing. Thank you so much.
That one's better.
That was great, Erin. Well, thank you so much for that. Does everybody drawing? Has everybody else done their drawings? Are the authors? Can we have a look? See what you've done? I did this one here.
Oh wow, they're all way better than my one on that shaky thing, and they're so cool.
Oh,
I love them.
That was so much fun. Well, thank you so much, Harriet, for showing us how to draw whistlings. I'm pretty sure everybody will have done that at home as well. Next up, Ian, we need to talk about your book. What do you have for us?
Can I just say beforehand that was amazing? That just reminded me of how much in awe I am of illustrators. I don't know why you bother writing books. I just draw all day if I could draw.
Oh, thank you.
That was amazing. So thank you. Yes, I'm going to do a quiz. I'm going to share my screen now. Can you all see that?
That's the one, yeah.
Well, my quiz is called What Monster Are You? And, you know, I need to apologize first because that sounds like quite a cheeky question to ask what monster are you? Because you probably don't think you're a monster at all. But everyone is a monster to somebody. And you know, all the monsters that Jack meets in Monster Hunter for Beginners, they think he's as scary and horrible as he thinks they are. So it's all a question of perspective, really. And that could be why so few people actually ever see a monster, because they run away in terror when they see us in the same way that we run away from them. But anyway, yeah, which one would you be if you were an actual flesh and blood, bone crunching, skull smashing, tear everyone's limbs off kind of monster? That's what this quiz is to find out. Just answer the following questions, write down your answers, and at the end count up how many A's, B's, C's and D's you have, and that will tell you for sure what kind of monster you are, probably. So here goes. Start with question 1. Which of these foods would you most like to eat right now? A, meat, lots of meat, then some more meat. B, thank you, but I'm not very hungry at the moment. C, anything that comes out of a tin. Or D, ice cream, cookies, chocolate, crisps. That's the first question. Okay. So if you've answered that, I'll move on to the next one. Which of these is your favorite type of weather? Which we were talking about earlier, weather. A, what is weather? Can I eat it? B, pouring rain. C, scorching hot sunshine, the hotter the better. And D, not too hot, not too cold, just nice. Question 3. Where is the best place to get washed? A, I never get washed. B, in a puddle. C, inside a bubbling volcano. D, in a nice warm bath with lots of bubbles. Where else? I'll move on to the next question, if everybody's ready.
Yeah. What
is your favorite animal and why? A, humans. They taste yummy raw. B, cats. I love the yowly noises they make. C, I don't like anything or anyone except me. And D, they're all great, but especially hedgehogs.
Oh.
Next question. What do you like doing best after school? A, eating. B, singing. C, earning lots of pocket money. D, as little as possible unless I want to. Now the next question. In which of these places would you most like to live? A, a dark smelly cave. B, on a wild and windy moor. C, under a mountain all alone. D, anywhere that's nice and warm and safe and comfortable, obviously. Next question. When is the best time to go to sleep? A, after a big meal, preferably of meat. B, I never sleep. I have too much to do. C, I sleep all the time. It's my favorite. D, bedtime when you're tired.
Oh.
Next question. How do you feel right now? A, hungry. Is it lunchtime yet? B, sad, but I like being sad. It cheers me up. C, sleepy. Go away and stop asking me silly questions. Or D, happy because there's no school today. The next question. What in the world are you most afraid of? A, missing my next meal. B, losing my voice. C, all my stuff being stolen. Or D, bloodthirsty monsters. Next question. Final question, in fact. Pick a colour. A, green like mouldy bread. B, dark grey like storm clouds. C, bright red like a blazing fire. Or D, you can't pick just one colour, you need them all at different times. So now you should have the answer to all 10 questions, and you can add up how many A's, B's, C's and D's you have. If you have more of one letter, that obviously means you're that particular monster. If you have 4 of A and 4 of C, then you're obviously a mixture of the 2 monsters. And I'll give the answers now. If you have mostly A's, congratulations, I think. You're an ogre. Your favourite food is meat, human meat, preferably a nice fresh leg or a head. You do smell quite bad, which isn't great, but it's hard to find a bath big enough to fit a whole ogre. If you had mostly B's, you're a banshee. You love to squelch about on wet moors in dark clothing, wailing and moaning and terrifying passers-by in the dark. But cats love you, and that's the main thing. If you had mostly C's, you're a dragon. You love sleeping all day on top of heaps of gold and jewels and coins and other treasure, and roasting freshly killed knights in shining armour in your red hot fiery breath. But you're only dangerous if people disturb you when you're trying to rest. And if you had mostly D's, I'm afraid you're the absolute worst kind of monster. You're a human. Humans do far more damage than any monster. And what's worse is that they don't even think they're monsters at all. You should be ashamed of yourself. But the good news is that it's Halloween soon, so you'll definitely be the scariest creature around on the night. And that's the end of the book.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Well, I got a combination of banshee and human, which is concerning. Oh, right. I won't lie. What did everybody else get? Laura, what did you get?
Yeah, mostly the scariest of all, human, sadly. But, you know.
Taylor?
I'm quite happy. I got banshee.
Banshee. Hey, join my club.
Yeah.
Harriet, what did you get?
Human.
Human, excellent. And Jack, what was yours?
A banshee.
A banshee. Okay, good
I got
combo.
a banshee as well. Yes.
We're a human banshee combo. Lovely. We've got lots of people commenting in the chat saying they're humans or banshees. So thank you so much if you've taken part. Next up, we are going to go to Taylor. Taylor, what do you have for us for your book?
We are doing a very exciting read along, which I cannot wait to start. I do have to warn y'all, my accent right now is at like a 3, maybe a 4 maximum for a Southern accent. But when I read this book, I dial it all the way up to a 10.
Right.
So I hope y'all are ready for some real Texas.
I want nothing more. Go for it.
All right. Chapter 1, The Skeleton in My Closet. If you're getting ready to read this book, even after looking at the title and the real weird cover drawings, then you just might be ready for the truth. Graham says I have to stress the word might, as I've seen a fair few folks pick my book up, panic, and run away flapping like headless chickens. Grown-ups are the worst for it. The older you get, the more scared you get of everything. It's a fact of life. And let me tell you something they don't want us to know. Grown-ups are scared all the time. That's why their hair is gray and they get all them face wrinkles. It's all that scared, drying them up from the inside out like a prune. They are terrified the perfectly good chocolate chunk cookie that just fell on the bathroom floor is now full of deadly germs. Worried that other grown-ups sit around judging them at dinner parties they weren't invited to. They are even afraid that they might go away for the weekend and experience a worst case scenario. Watch a grown-up next time they're checking stuff in a suitcase. You'll see nobody needs 10 pairs of underwear for a 3-day trip. This book is not for them. It's for people like you. People who might look ordinary from the outside, but have something special burbling up beneath their skin. You don't have to be brave. You just have to want to be brave. That's half the battle fought right there. So here it is. Take a deep breath, sit down, and maybe put on some of that common music, because it is honest to goodness, genuine truth time. And the things you don't know could probably fill a whole museum. Ghosts are real. Same as vampires, chupacabras, radish monsters, sea beasties, swamp ghouls, and Bigfoot. I swear on the life of my Grams and her 5 fat cats, I'm telling you the whole truth. After all, I should know. My best friend is a werewolf. Chapter 2. Not all those who wander are lost, especially if they brought GPS. My Grams always told me that on those days when the whole world seems a bit crazier than normal, look around you and count the facts. Facts help a person keep their feet on the ground. Fact number 1, my name is Lexi. It's short for Alexandra, but don't even think about calling me that. You can also call me the very best #1 storyteller in Shreveport. I got me a ribbon to prove it. Fact number 2, my Grams is the best person in the whole wide world, even if her house smells like cat pee. You might think that this is an opinion, but I'm saying it's a fact, so there. Fact number 3, somehow something went very wrong this morning. Maybe it was my fault for reading in the car when I was supposed to be map captain. Or maybe it happened when me and Grams got really into singing Dolly Parton and neither of us noticed the big old warning sign. Whoever's fault it was, we definitely took a wrong turn somewhere. And now I am standing here, all by myself, having a sneaky suspicion. And that sneaky suspicion is making my face sweat and my stomach feel like it's full of evil butterflies. I think Grams has dropped me off at the wrong summer camp. Oh, ha, 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 ha. If you want to find out what happens next, you have to read the book.
Well, I mean, that was also just a great accent. I'd like you to read everything to me in future, please. That was awesome. We had somebody called Alexandra in the chat saying that was her name. She's very excited. And somebody else, Catherine, saying just love Dolly Parton, just a big fan of her. We also had a few people give us what they got in Ian's quiz. We had Rose, who's a banshee and a human. We had Aoife, who is a human and a dragon. Alana, who is also a human and dragon. So lots of dragons in the group chat there, guys. Lovely stuff. So let's move on to Laura Ellen Anderson. Laura, what do you have for us?
So we are going to be drawing a pumpkin together, but I thought let's give it a little bit of a twist to make it a bit more exciting. So I have got a pouch full of other creatures. So I'm just, everyone's going to be disappearing. I'm going to take over your screen. So I thought we could create some kind of like hybrid pumpkin. So here it's not fixed at all. I'm going to rummage around and okay. So I've got a yellow piece of paper and it says, okay, fine, astronaut. So it's more of an occupation rather than a creature. So we're going to draw an astronaut pumpkin together today. So I'm going to magically move you down to my piece of paper here. Okay, and let us begin. Okay, so I often start off by saying that the shape of the pumpkin looks a bit like we can either go for the sensible option of an apple or the non-sensible option as it looks a bit like a bum. So let's draw a kind of bum shape on your page. Be as big or as small as you like. There we go. And that is your kind of main pumpkin body there. Let me know if you can't see it though. I think it's showing up on the screen. Okay, and so pumpkins, they tend to have grooves or kind of texture in their outer thick skin. So we're just going to draw a couple of lines to represent that at the bottom. And we're going to do the same at the top. I will move my hand as well. I realise that it's completely in your way. There we go. And then a few lines there. And don't worry, I haven't forgotten the fact that it is an astro pumpkin. So we will be getting to that in a moment. So we're going to now draw, we're going to base it on Squashy the pumpkin from Let's Make It Squashy, the astro pumpkin, who's gone on to do something a bit different in life. So we're going to draw his eyes in the middle, so just 2 dots because he's super duper cute. And I think he's going to be looking pretty happy because, you know, he's started a whole new career. He's about to venture off into space, the first pumpkin in space. So let's have his eyebrows curved upwards because that's what you generally do when you're happy. Maybe you frown when you're happy. I don't know. It's completely up to you what you do. But let's draw a big smile, which is kind of a D shape, a capital D, having a rest on its side. Yay! And then Squashy the pumpkin has little freckles, as do most of my characters. I don't know why. I just enjoy drawing freckles. And you can colour your pumpkins in with any colour you like. It doesn't have to be orange. Okay. And yes, I haven't drawn his stalk yet, but I will get to that. So now he's going into space. So we're basically going to put him in one massive helmet. So we're going to draw a big circle around his body. This is a cerebral circle on my part. And then we'll just do kind of a little base down here. There we go. And then we're going to have his stalk kind of sticking out of the helmet at the top, like so. So a little kind of hole, not scientifically accurate. And then what we can do is draw some stars around the edge, just to kind of give the impression that he is in space. Maybe a few little kind of buttons here on his non-technical suit. There we go. And then you can just add a little bit of shine on the helmet like that. And then just to finish off for fun, we can just add a few little kind of, call them motion lines around the outside, because maybe he's spinning around in space as you do as a pumpkin, astro pumpkin. And there is your astro Squashy the pumpkin, one of the strangest things I've ever drawn, but hey, I hope you had fun. So I will leave that there for just a couple more seconds. There we go. And make my way back to my chair. There we go.
That's amazing.
And then, so yes, that is, you can kind of make your pumpkin anything you like. So I once had a whole month of October where I created a different type of pumpkin, squashy pumpkin every day. So you can have lots of fun. It doesn't have to just be a bog standard squash. You can do what you want.
I love it. Catherine in the chat says that is the first pumpkin in space. Tim Peake will be proud, which is a very good point. Has anybody else, I've just show you my pumpkin, if anybody else has drawn theirs.
Yes. Oh, they're amazing.
Oh my goodness, guys.
Got the whole team to go up in the ISS.
That was so much fun. Thank you for showing us that. I feel like, guys, I feel like I can actually draw, which is amazing. I'm not usually a very good drawer. So last but by no means least, Jack Meggit-Phillips, what do you have for us from your brilliant book?
Well, I have a reading. I'm very jealous of the Texas accent. I'm going to sound increasingly like Princess Margaret, so apologies for that. But yes, this is from the opening chapter of The Beast and the Bethany, where, given it's the spooky season, something very, very wrong takes place. Ebenezer Tweezer was a terrible man with a wonderful life. And at the time when this story begins, he was about to do an especially terrible thing. All Ebenezer did at first was buy a Wintlorian purple-breasted parrot. When he got home, the parrot woke up with a large yawn. Good morning. My name is Patrick. It's late afternoon. My name is Mr. Tweezer. Welcome to your new home. Whoa! Gosh! Now, the whoa and the gosh were both the right sorts of words to say, because Ebenezer's house was nothing short of extraordinary. It was 15 stories tall and 12 elephants wide. Can I come out of my cage now? Not yet, answered Ebenezer. There's someone I want you to meet first. Well, something is perhaps a better description. Ebenezer climbed the stairs whilst Patrick took in all the beautiful things around him. Try not to be scared, said Ebenezer. It won't like you if you are scared. Ebenezer pushed down the handle of the rickety old door at the top of the stairs. It opened with a creak. The room was not like the rest of the house at all. It was damp and smelled strongly of boiled cabbage. The room was bare, save for a set of red velvet curtains. Ebenezer drew these curtains open and revealed the beast. The beast was a big blob of grey with 3 black eyes, 2 black tongues, and a large, dribbling mouth. Good morning! My name is Patrick. It's late afternoon. The beast's voice was soft and slithery, like a snake made of feathers. I want you to sing. What would you like me to sing? Sing a song about me, demanded the beast. Patrick paused for a moment. Then, and apologies in advance for this, he began to sing. The beast has the finest house in the land. It's so tall and long and terribly grand. Even the queen with her palace so wide cannot compete with where the beast resides. The beast has a face so useful and round, with 3 eyes to make sure lost things are found, and 2 tongues for licking all it can find. The beast is quite clearly a one of a kind. Patrick stopped singing. He said he was sorry that it was such a short song and that he would be able to sing something a little longer once he got to know the beast better. The beast smiled. The smile was wet with dribble. That was beautiful. Tell me, are there many little birdies like you? Oh, gosh, no. There are only 20 of us left in the whole world. How many beasts like you are there? I'm the only one, the last survivor. It's good that you're rare. I like rare things. Come a little closer so that I can see you better, birdie. Ebenezer picked up the cage and brought Patrick closer to the beast's 3 black blinking eyes. Closer, even closer. Ebenezer dragged the cage so it was right in front of the beast's large, dribbling mouth. The stench of boiled cabbage was now eye-wateringly strong. Can you see me now? Asked Patrick, a little nervously. Oh, I could see you fine the whole time. Then why did you need me to come closer? Asked Patrick. I am afraid to say that this was the last question that poor Patrick ever asked.
Yay! Thank you so much, Jack. Oh my goodness. That was obviously brilliant, and lots of people in the comments are loving the book. At the end there, Sophie has just put no, which I think is how we all felt. We also had Isis who says, I've got this book at home, and Zara says, you've got a very good reading voice. So congratulations. Well done. So before we end today's session, we have a few questions sent in by viewers, and by a few, I mean loads. So thank you so much to everybody who has been in touch. We had Ren and IVS who said to everybody, if you could have a spooky pet, what would it be? Laura, what would you pick?
I don't know why. The first thing that came to my head was a ghost cat. That's not really, it's kind of cute and spooky. Yeah, or a pumpkin. There you go. Good
answer. Ian, what would you pick?
The first thing that came to my mind was a ghost cat as well. Though my thought was you would get all the benefits of owning a cat, but you wouldn't have to clean the litter tray, or you wouldn't have to keep letting them in and out of the door or the window. They could just go in and out themselves, you know. So you'd have all the benefits of having a cat with none of the downsides.
Smart, thinking of the logistics there. Taylor, what would you pick?
I think I'd have to go with a nice chunky vampire bat, you know, with like the big adorable eyes, lots of fangs, you know, a little bit wicked, but definitely adorable.
Okay, Harriet, how about you?
Well, like my first thing was like a cute little wispy ghost, but the thing is, I'm not actually, I like the vibe, the gothic look, but I'm not actually really that into like scary things. Like, so there's just not really like a monster I'd want to be or a pet I'd want to have that's like a spooky one, if I'm honest.
Okay,
I like a fairy as a pet. I'm like way more a fairy than vampire, really.
I appreciate your honesty. This is a safe space. I appreciate that. Thank you. And Jack, how about you?
I'm generally terrified of most animals, particularly cute ones. So some sort of very fluffy poodle that would petrify me. So I'll go for that to keep me afraid of Halloween.
A fluffy poodle, excellent. We had a great question from Jancy, who says, "What would your characters eat for a Halloween feast?" So what food do you think your characters would go for if they were presented with, I don't know, would they have pumpkin? Would they have, I don't know, squashed bat, roasted? I'm not too sure what your characters would go for. Taylor, what do you reckon? What would your characters eat?
So my part of the world is pretty famous for incredibly spicy hot peppers. And there's one called a ghost pepper that is supposed to be so hot, it'll make your skin melt. So I think ghost pepper is the accurate answer here.
A ghost pepper. Oh, sounds delicious and also very scary. Ian, what would you pick?
Well, my character loves sausage rolls, and he's always eating sausage rolls, which isn't very Halloween-y. But I suppose you could put some sort of decoration on the sausage roll to make it nice and Halloween-y. And the other main character, the sort of grumpy 200-year-old monster hunter, he eats absolutely anything, and he eats all the time. So yes, anything.
Anything, excellent stuff. Jack, how about you?
Well, the beast spends most of its days eating. So even this morning, at the moment, I have just eaten a lovely hedgehog. Oh, now I fancy something cultural, maybe the Mona Lisa. And for pudding, I think I shall eat you, Jancy. No. Sorry,
right,
Jancy.
Poor old Jancy's logging off immediately, like, no, don't take me. Laura, what would you pick?
Well, I guess I'll go with the Amelia fan crew. They love the good old flabbergasted falafels, whose signature dish, and future pizza and armpit sweat shakes. The saltier the better.
Oh, delicious. Oh, and Harriet, for yourself?
I guess I would maybe go with pumpkin because I love pumpkin pie, and we actually did a dinner party once which was all pumpkin, and we made pumpkin pie, pumpkin meringue pie, pumpkin crisps, pumpkin chips, pumpkin ravioli. We made everything was like pumpkin themed, and it was actually really yummy. So pumpkin is my answer.
Oh, well, thank you for making me hungry there. That is, I love pumpkin, so I'm going to go and get some later. Brilliant.
Actually, I don't think we made pumpkin chips, but we made pumpkin crisps.
Pumpkin crisps is even better.
Yeah.
We have one especially for Laura and Harriet from Dimitri in Australia, who says, how long does it take to draw your characters? Obviously, you guys have done some drawing workshops for us, but I guess it takes a little bit longer. Laura, how long does it take you to draw a character from the beginning to end?
One character, or
just the one, I guess. Yeah.
I guess if I really put my mind to it, I can draw one in 5 minutes. So yeah, if I know what I'm doing, just kind of letting my brain fall out on the page. Yeah, quicker the better, really.
Okay, Harriet, how about you?
I mean, it really depends on the character. I agonize over like faces on my characters, so I can spend hours like moving like a pupil across like by 1 millimeter and being like, what does that do? I get really obsessed with like the faces. So it depends. It can take me a very long time, but I don't know if it's something like if I drew Pink Rabbit, I could draw that in like 2 minutes. Like it just depends. Depends on what it is, yeah, and just how.
Muscle memory, I guess, like you just know it.
Yeah, I've drawn Pink Rabbit a lot, and that's very simple. But like Victoria Stitch, for example, takes me a lot longer because she's more detailed, and I'm really obsessed with how her face must look right and all that kind of thing.
Awesome stuff. We had a message from Catherine, who says, if you could bring one of your characters to life, who would you bring? Now, of course, it could be one of your scarier characters. It could be one of your heroes. It's up to you, I guess. Ian, who would you pick?
Well, there's a character that Jack meets when he's on his adventure who's a bear who lives in a cave that's taken over by the ogres. And he's a very nice, friendly bear, and he loves to knit, and he's very non-threatening. And yes, he's kind of my favorite character. So probably him, but also the villain of the story. She's called Aunt Prudence, and she's absolutely horrible. And I secretly really like her. So maybe I'd bring her to life as well.
I wouldn't appreciate that because she's quite scary, but I can see why you're doing it. Jack, who would you pick?
They're all so awful, really. I mean, definitely you wouldn't want her about or the beast. I think Ebenezer is probably the most similar to me, although I haven't fitted any children to beasts yet. So maybe him, and we can have lots of chats about strange teas together, maybe.
Oh, lovely. Sounds very refined. Taylor, what about you?
I think I'd have to go with Dave the Kraken. He lives in a swamp. He's a bit of an octopus and crocodile all in one. Definitely want to see him come to life.
Oh, I love it. Laura, what about you?
I think it would have to be maybe Tanjin Lefloufel the first, because he's always living his best life, and he kind of, yeah, he's always kind of really positive about himself, and I think he'd be quite a good life coach, and not to mention might be able to update my fashion sense a bit as well.
Good stuff. And Harriet, finally, what character would you bring to life?
It would be one of my whisklings, because I would love to have like a tiny little friend. I think that would be so cute. And not Victoria Stitch, because she's a bit of a diva, but I do have like a little whistling mascot who's in my doll's house there, and I like taking her on adventures. And I actually just happen to have this next to my computer, but like here she is, like in a little boat on a rock pool, and I like taking her on holiday with me and her having adventures, and it would be so cool if she was alive. And so yeah, that would be mine.
Oh, great answers, guys. Finally, one last question from Sarah, who says, I would like to be an author. Do you have any tips? I'm guessing you get this question a lot. So I'd like to think you all have something, like one quick tip that you could give somebody listening or watching. Who should go first? Taylor, you can go first.
I say read and listen to as many stories as humanly possible, and just soak in the joy of other people's words. And you'll soon find your own in that giant history of literature.
Awesome. Laura, how about you?
Learn to love coffee and keep a little notebook with you wherever you go, because you never know what might inspire you. So it's good to write, a little note down, or even if it's in your phone, I guess you can do that these days. And yeah, you might come back to that note or that idea, even 10 years down the line, and be like, oh, that's a good one. So yeah, just write down anything, even if it doesn't mean anything at the time. You never know.
Harriet, what's your top tip?
My top tip would be to really tune into what it is really, really passionate about, and write about that. Yeah.
Okay, passion.
What it is you're really passionate about, and then writing. You'll be really excited about writing about whatever that is.
Ian, how about you?
I'll definitely second the advice about the notebook, because whenever you have a great idea, you think, oh, I won't forget that, but then you find if you haven't written it down, you forget it. You think, how could I forget that? The main advice I would give to people is to trust yourself. I think when you write, sometimes you can sort of think, oh, is this any good? Will anybody like this? Or, is this a bit silly or whatever? But so just trust yourself and trust your instincts, and whatever makes you happy and excited, to just absolutely go for it, and go for it 100%.
Oh, I love it. And Jack, finally, what's your top tip?
Well, I suppose sort of following on from the passion and writing what you love thing. If you're looking for an idea, then why don't you take your two favourite stories and try and make them as different as possible, and try and mash them together and make a story out of it. So I don't know, you can have a Squashy and Victoria Stitch meeting, or you could have Jack the Monster Hunter going to Camp Croak. Just take two completely different ideas, and if you mash them together, you might create a new type of story that you love writing. So that would be my advice.
Oh, so much good advice. Well, thank you so much, guys. You have given us lots of food for thought and also amazing drawing tips. Laura Ellen Anderson, Ian Mark, Taylor Dolan, Harriet Muncaster and Jack Meggit-Phillips, thank you so much for joining us and have a happy Halloween.
Happy
You too. Happy
Halloween, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Bye.